Here's a bit of my story and my spiritual journey. I think like most people, I didn't have a choice to jump into the spiritual journey. For me, it started with my skin. I had skin rashes all over my body, mainly on my arms, here in the hands, and it was like very thick and so scratchy. I couldn't sleep at night. I was like waking up in the middle of the night multiple times to scratch. Nervous system being like shaken energy, like that type of energy, like unstable. I couldn't sleep, and at some point even it was in my face, around my eyes, my lips. Through this, I was having like low self-esteem, lack of confidence. This started when I was about 14 years old, and with my parents, when I was living with them when I was a teenager, we tried everything. We changed the sheets, we changed the floor carpet, we tried to everything. And then we see the dermatologist, they gave me some pills, they gave me some cream, everything. It was coming on and off, and like in my mid-20s I started doing more like self-development work. I had my own bus tour company that I started at 24 years old, and that provided a lot of anxiety. So things were getting worse. I was getting more and more unhealthy with all that stress and anxiety of running a business by myself. Over time, I went into a massive burnout. Like after a big project that I failed, I was running a music festival and then it fell massively, a lot of money. And then after this, I went into like a 5 months burnout. Couldn't get out of bed, and somehow I figured out how to regain myself back together, and I started to just go on a backpacking trip. I had no money, but I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm going on a trip. I need to figure out my life. And then this trip led me to Thailand, and then after this to Colombia. When I arrived in Colombia, people were talking to me about ayahuasca. I never heard about ayahuasca. I think the first weekend I went on a ceremony. I didn't know anything. I didn't read anything about it. I just went all in. And then this trip really changed my perspective on life. Before that, I was atheist, and after this, I started believing in the creator. I started understanding that there was more than this physical life. Before that, I actually had a fear of death. Sometimes I would have nightmares of like being stuck into an infinite black void of nothingness, and there's nothing for the infinite after this life. And this feeling would give me panic attack. But after my first ayahuasca ceremony, which was maybe like 7-8 years ago, I really started like being more at peace with this whole process that we're on here right now in this earth, experiencing a physical body. After this, I went and worked with a bioenergetic doctor, became my first mentor. For a year and a half, I asked him a lot of questions, learned about Chinese traditional medicine, acupuncture, Reiki, energy healing. So I did a lot of work. It would help in the moment, but the skin would come back like a few days or a few weeks later. So it was a never-ending process. As I was working with him, I started like diving deeper into the emotion code, the famous book by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And I dive into this, just like scanning emotions every day, transmuting with this technique of just swiping your head like this, swiping the governing vessel, I think, meridian. Over time, I realized it was working, but again, it was not lasting. It was releasing, but it was not fully transforming. It feels like these emotions were coming back. So what I understood is that I had to master the emotion. I had to understand fully like what is the lesson behind each of these emotions. What does it mean exactly? And step by step, I ended up meeting my former partner, which felt like a deep soul connection. And when I met her, my heart opened. And when my heart opened for the first time, I felt like all this like past baggage coming back up, and I had like a massive rush of skin rashes exploding. So I was combining all this together, and I just went deeper and deeper, and eventually through self-muscle testing and combining everything that I know, I developed my own soul audit technique, which is my own way of doing energy readings, soul readings. And by practicing over time, by serving others, I was healing more myself and going deeper and deeper into the process. I discovered different layers of myself. So ultimately, I realized that at the foundation, my biggest problem was anxiety, but also the fact of being a starseed, where my soul was disconnected from my body. My soul was hovering my body. My soul was not fully ready to enter my body because my body was full of shadow from this life, but also from my whole soul baggage. Because when we enter our human body with our soul, all our chakra are keeping the memories, and then the soul is putting all the baggage from that we need to continue working on in this body. So the body is the roadmap of what we need to work on. When I learned to like clear a bit more the vessel and welcome my soul in. I had multiple sessions where I could see my soul, and my soul was like, no, I'm not coming in. It was still some part here, but it was not fully present. And it's a never ending journey of like descending the soul more and more and remembering more and more of who we are in our soul journey. But for me, it's like it reached a point in my journey where like I enter a certain level of communion with my soul, and then finally out of nowhere I integrated my whole soul journey. At the same time, I was filming my first online course teaching the soul audit technique, and when I started the course I had the last rush of skin rashes, and then when I finished the course I integrated everything, and then I was done with this finally. Somehow it was an identity that I was living with. It was an identity that I had a hard time letting go of. Almost like, who was I without the skin rashes? That was the hardest part also to let go, because there is always part of us in our problem, challenges, obstacle, disease that is seeking attention, that wants to be seen. So we need to see who are those parts. For me, it was my soul. Also, there was some layers of the feminine, the masculine. There was also layers of my inner child. It's not one thing, it's everything combined. But it really felt like when I started integrating the foundation of the spiritual journey, I really was able to let go of my skin problem and started really anchoring myself and started feeling a certain level of like, I feel good with myself. Started like, I stopped running, chasing, somehow like saving myself or whatever. I still have some rashes here and there nowadays, but they're very small and I know how to assess them quickly. And when I assess them right away, the next day they're gone. It's like this with everything. The body is talking to us all the time. It can be pimple, it can be skin rashes, it can be pain, it can be tension, it can be disease. There's so many ways. So yes, on my journey, I went through exploring every modalities, every psychedelic, every plant medicine, every ceremonies, every style. And I did a lot of like a rebirthing session in a hot bath. I did a lot of water flow session where like you float in the water and they drop you on the water for 30 seconds where you kind of hold your breath and then they bring you back up. I did some kambo, bufo, ayahuasca, all these things. But over time, somehow it's like, yes, they are needed to like get perspective. But at the foundation, it's really about this daily practice of like going within and talking to different part of yourself. That is the foundation of what I experienced was the core of my healing. Really like listening to my body, listening to my soul, listening to my higher self, listening to different guides, different starseed aspect, different versions of God, listening to my inner feminine, inner masculine, doing the inner marriage, listening to my inner child and also my wise inner father and my wise inner mother, and creating that trinity. Yeah, it's never ending process of listening to all part of us as we are everything and we are also individualized. I believe that everything that we do in life, it's all leading to the same destination, is to go back to being one with ourselves, being one with God. So everything we do as jobs or practices, it's always to deepen our connection with the creation, with the creator. Thank you so much.